let the experts talk. Alam ko po, nakapagsalita na sila, pero mas importante pong marinig ng tao bayan galing sa mga dalubhasa ang kasagot. Go ahead, Dr. Salvania.
Thank you, Boss Book. Sa unang-una, ang Sinovac at Sinopharm po ay merong WHO Emergency Use Listing. Ibig sabihin po nun, nakita na ng WHO na mabisa at effective itong mabisa at ligtas ng mga vaccines na ito. Pangalawa po, we've given more than 18 million doses of Sinovac in the Philippines. And nakita naman natin yung data na pinakita na sinabi ni Father Nick na 86% or more. And so more than half of those will be Sinovac. And finally, yung sa 242 breakthrough infections out of 13.7 million fully vaccinated individuals. Those numbers, like I said, are fantastic. I have no doubt that Sinovac, Sinopharm, Pfizer, Moderna, all these vaccines continue to protect against severe disease. And huwag po tayong mabahala. Mas importante po na maprotektahan natin against severe disease ang ating mga kababayan. Kesa yung maghihintay tayo, tapos tamaan na tayo ng COVID, pwede pa tayong mamatay. So it's very, very important that we take what vaccine is offered so that we get protection as soon as possible. Otherwise, we put our lives at risk and we will prolong this pandemic po.
And Father Dr. Niconar Astrioco, at the risk of paulit-ulit, pero kinakailangan po paalalahanin ulit ang ating mga kababayan.
Any vaccine is better than no vaccine. And all the vaccines will protect you and protect us from severe disease and from death. And we do it out of love of our families, right? Because if you get sick, your family will be at risk. They will lose you forever. So it's better to go and get vaccinated now because there is no promise you will get Pfizer and Moderna, especially since the United States is about to start a booster program for Pfizer and Moderna, and we do not know how that will impact the worldwide supply of Pfizer and Moderna. We hope it will not, but we've seen before the US will start buying hundreds of millions again. This will put an immense pressure on the world supply. So go and get vaccinated now.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Salvania and Dr. Austriaco. Balik tayo kay Yusef Roque.
Yes, thank you, Secretary Roque from Red Mendoza na Manila Times. Ano po masasabi ninyo sa enforcement ng mga bakuna bubble? Sa tingin nyo ba gagana ito kahit na hanggang sa ngayon tumataas pa rin ang mga kaso?
Well, hindi pa naman po natin pinapatupad ang mga bakuna bubble. Pinag-aaralan pa po yan. No? At ngayon po sa ating mga dine-in, no? 10% lang po ang inaalaw para sa mga fully vaccinated. No? Sa akin naman po, at some point, kinakailangan magkaroon tayo ng tiwala sa mga bakuna. Pero sa ngayon po, hindi pa po natin napapa-implement po yan.
Opo. Second question niya, nagkaroon po ng mainitang diskusyon ng FDA ng Amerika tungkol sa pagbibigay ng booster doses sa lahat ng kanilang mga citizen doon na nauwi sa rekomendasyon na dapat 65 up at mga vulnerable lang ang pwedeng bigyan ng booster. Ano po ang posible na possible implication nito sa ating bansa?
Well, napakahirap naman na baliwalain ang naging finding ng US FDA kasi ito po yung kinikilalang FDA na napakataas ng kanilang standards. At kung kanilang desisyon ay hindi magbigay ng booster sa lahat, no? Kung hindi doon sa mga A1 population, sa A2 population natin at saka A3 population, so be it. So, I don't know if our experts would like to add, Dr. Salvania, Dr. Austriaco.
Yeah, ang add ko lang kasi una-una, wala pa naman tayo sa 6 months dito sa Pilipinas eh. Actually ako, number 2 ako nakakuha and Sinovac. So, itong mga breakthroughs na nakikita natin, this is not waning vaccine. Ang nangyayari dito is Delta. Yung Delta talaga ang nag-breakthrough dahil Delta siya. Nakita rin naman natin kahit sa Israel, 30 to 40% na lang yung efficacy ng breakthrough sa Delta. Although yun nga, tuloy yung protection against severe disease. So sa ngayon, hindi pa ako kumbinsido na a booster using the old vaccines will work kasi you make the same old antibodies, hindi sila masyadong maganda gumana sa Delta. Bagamat may ginagawa na ngayon na clinical trials sa reformulated vaccine specific to the variants of concern, kasama po yung Delta, and I think those might be more appropriate later on. Pero as for booster ngayon, Ang ginagawa kasi ng FDA, yung third dose na yon, hindi po tinuturing niya na booster. Actually, third dose po yun kasi sa mga mas matatanda, sa mga immunocompromised, yung first 2 doses might not take. And so a third dose might help them get fully vaccinated. Pero dun sa general population, mukhang for now, 2 doses is enough. At kung magkaka-booster man tayo later on, I would rather get a new and improved reformulated vaccine na kasama na yung Delta sa titirahin niya. Dahil kung mag-boost tayo nitong old type vaccine, I don't know how much more it will add sa clinical efficacy and mataas na rin yung protection against severe diseases. So hindi na yun makaka-add rin ng masyado. Mas importante gamitin natin itong old vaccines na to vaccinate people who have not yet been vaccinated dahil mas malaki po talaga yung benefit doon.
Dr. Austriaco?
I agree. At this point, it's so important to build up population immunity in the Philippines. And the population immunity will also indirectly benefit those who are immunocompromised and who might have weakened immune systems because it prevents the virus from getting to them. And so at this point, I mean, here in the United States, the FDA expert panel spoke up against the president of the United States because President Biden wanted to extend this to the general population, but the expert panel said that there is no evidence, secure evidence to support this beyond senior citizens and those who are at risk for severe disease. And the question now is whether or not this includes healthcare workers who are at risk simply because they are exposed to high viral loads of Delta.
Thank you very much, Dr. Silvania and Dr. Austriaco. Back to you, Sir Roque, please.
Opo, yung third question po niya, consistent ang less than 3% ng moderate, severe, and critical cases kahit pumapalo ang kaso natin ng 20,000 plus. Do you think may epekto na ba ang mga bakuna?
Well, from a layman's point of view, mahigit 65% na po sa Metro Manila, baka naman po meron, but I will ask the experts to answer. Dr. Silvania?
Yes, boss. Actually, we've been looking at this. Siguro mga 3-4 weeks ago, ang proportion natin ng severe plus critical was about 2.8%. Nowadays, it's anywhere from 1.5 to 2.1%. So, alam naman natin na we were expecting Delta to become more severe. So, imbis na tumaas or stay at 2.8%, bumaba pa. And there's really only one explanation for that, and that's really the vaccination. The other thing is, kung titingnan natin yung by region na mortality rate or yung case fatality rate, ang NCR is now down to about 1.2%. And so, I think, of course, early pa rin kasi yung fully vaccine, yung umabot tayo sa 50%, it's just a few weeks. So it's very difficult to make hard conclusions at this point. But from what we expected versus what's actually happening, even yung projected cases for Delta by September 30 was at conservative 150,000 active cases in Metro Manila. Nasa September 21 na tayo, we're at about 50,000 cases na active. So that's almost 100,000, that's more than 100,000 below expectations. So I think dito na natin nasisimulang makita yung epekto nitong enhanced vaccination program. And of course, yung ating mayors rin have really shortened the time to detection. Yung sinabi yung recommend ng faster na we have to do our PDI-TR more aggressively. Mukhang ginawa naman po talaga nila. So I think that what we are doing is working right now. But of course, the hospitals are still full kasi ang dami talagang pasok. Gagaya ng sinabi ni Father, as this goes down, we really have to reinforce our healthcare system and at the same time, continue our vaccination program po.
Thank you, Dr. Silvania. Dr. Austriaco?
I'm still waiting for the data. I think that there's two things I'm waiting for. First of all, the vaccinations take 2 weeks after the second dose, number one. And then the severe cases and death is always 2 to 3 to 4 weeks after infection. So there's still significant lag. So I'm still waiting for data to decide exactly what is happening.
Thank you, Dr. Austriaco. Back to you, Sir Roque.
Yes, Secretary. From Summit Emilia ng Business Mirror, may update na kaya sa response ng COA sa appeal ni President Duterte to audit Philippine Red Cross?
No response yet as far as I know.
From Lay Alvis ng GMA News, following Pfizer's announcement that their vaccine also works for children 5 to 11 years old, do you think the Philippines should also start vaccinating children? For Dr. Salvania and Father Austriaco.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's important to stick to our prioritization program. Kasi alam naman natin ang A1, A2, A3 are at the highest risk for dying, followed by yung population na 20 to 59 years old, na alam naman natin ang baseline risk of dying from COVID can be as high as 1%. At kung i-vaccinate natin, it goes down to 0.1%. Yung children 20 years old and below kasi, yung baseline risk nila of dying is about 0.1%. So, bagamat we want to get that down to 0.01%, mas importante po na i-target natin yung mga at higher risk for dying. Once our supply is okay, then we should vaccinate everyone po.
Father Austriaco?
I too would like to wait. And also, it's interesting, in my view, and this is, I'm not a medical doctor, but in my view, given the technology, if we were to vaccinate, especially our very young, I think it'd be important to err on the side of Sinovac rather than a Pfizer or Moderna, because the technology for Sinovac is so much more understood, and our young children, especially those who are still prepubescent, we're not quite sure what will happen, right? So I think, just like Dr. Edsel, I think there's no immediate need. And but personally, if you ask me as a molecular biologist, if given the risk is already so low for a young child, if we had the option of if an mRNA vaccine or an attenuated vaccine, I would err on the attenuated vaccine to lower that 0.1 to even lower and minimize any risk long term for the development of our children.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Austriaco. User Roque?
Yes, Secretary Roque, from Chris Jose na Remate Online, reaksyon po sa sinabi ni Vice President Lenny na iwasan daw po ang mga personal na insulto sa sinasagawang Senate inquiry ukol sa overprice sa pagbibili ng medical supplies at sa halip ay manatili lang sa katotohanan, lalo na raw po ngayon at nahaharap pa rin sa pandemya ang bansa.
Agree po tayo, pero lumalabas po na parang yung ilang mga senador hindi papayag hanggang hindi lumabas na di umano ay may korupsyon. Eh malinaw naman po, walang overprice sa PPE, walang overprice pagdating sa face mask. Sumunod po sa proseso kasi ang Bayanihan 1 sinabi hindi na kinakailangan sumunod doon sa 9184. So hindi ko po alam kung ano pang gustong makuha ng mga senador dyan sa pagdinig na yan. No? Pero kung ikukumpira po natin doon sa pagdinig sa Kamara de Representante na hinahayaang sumagot ang mga testigo at mga resource persons, lumalabas po talaga wala pong irregular doon sa mga biniling mga PPEs, face shields. At saka syempre po, nandyan yung testimonya mismo ng chairman ng COA. So sa tingin ko po, kung sinabi na ng COA na walang overpricing, hindi ko po alam kung bakit pa nagpapatulog. Kung hindi, politika na lang talaga ang dahilan.
Opo. Second question po niya, hindi man po niya pinangalanan ng Pangulo ang Pangulo, pero batid naman po ng lahat na madalas na pong pinapatutsadahan ni Pangulong Duterte si Senator Gordon gaya ng pagiging mataba nito. Pinanari ng Pangulo ang herdo po ng senador.
Hindi ko po alam kung anong tanong.
Okay. Okay. Mula po kay Kylie Atienza ng Business World, the Makati Business Club is urging the government to improve its virus containment efforts as the economy reopens. Ano po ang mga paghahanda ng gobyerno to prevent a potential virus contagion? Are we prepared enough for the reopening of the economy?
Well, unang-una po, nagpapilot nga po tayo ng combination ng granular lockdown na napaka-stricto na po pwedeng lumabas lang effectively ay ang mga health workers at mga OFWs at saka combined with yung alert systems. So ito po ay ginagawa natin dahil naintindihan po natin, no, na kinakailangan magkaroon na ng hanap buhay ang nakakarami sa atin. So hinihingi ko po ang kooperasyon ng lahat dahil kung ito po ay maging tagumpay, napakalaki po ng porsyento po pwede na makapaghanap buhay. Importante po yan na makapagbalik buhay tayo.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Roque.
Maraming salamat, Yusef Roque. Maraming salamat, Dr. Salvania and Father Dr. Austriaco. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng ating mga naging kasama dito ngayon sa Malacanang Press Corps. Ang ating inaasam na containment at pagbalik buhay para sa lahat. Magandang hapon po, Pilipinas.